Okay, the leaf switches are working again. This one, of course, was smaller than what I have on hand, so I did have to go back and peen in a new pad on that leaf switch. And went to put it back on and noticed that the leaf underneath it was also missing the pad, so that was two on the same leaf switch that needed to be replaced. Would have been much easier if I had on hand one of those leaf switches. I could have just soldered out that leaf switch, put in a new one. But yeah, not impossible to repair pads if you don't have the right leaf switch. So yeah, I went ahead and cleaned the bottom spoon, which is the activation leaf at the bottom, at the same time while I had it off. And this, while I was looking at this other one, I noticed that this pad wasn't missing, but it was spinning as I cleaned it. So I knew that it wasn't making good contact. I pulled this top leaf off, and the bottom part of the leaf had lots of the soot that happens when you have a loose connection. You get those sparks, and those sparks create soot, and that soot makes a worse connection. So yeah, so I went ahead and repeened that pad onto this leaf and put it back together. And when you have it apart, you always got to clean the little bits and pieces that you can't get to. So I cleaned that spoon as well. And then I figured, well, I've already done two. I might as well do the other two. So I pulled that one off and that one off and got them cleaned, adjusted them so that they activate properly. But yeah, this is an example of something that could have very easily burned out that coil, because that's the end of stroke switch. Basically, it disables the high voltage as this comes down. It releases that switch, disconnects that switch, and releases high voltage so it doesn't burn it up. Yeah. So the bottom of the Playfield switches, at least, are done. It took a good hour just to rebuild those two switches and clean the spoons and put this other back in place. So yes, I haven't touched those bad boys yet, but that is next on the list. Time to work on the mechanisms. And we're back. I had the time lapse going as I was working on this, but for some reason it decided to stop working at about 20 seconds in. So what you didn't see was me tearing down the Domino advanced unit and the spinner unit and putting it back together after cleaning it all up. But we have a spinner unit that now spins just right, and the Domino advanced unit that spins around just fine. You set it right there, goes back, works great. The other thing that you missed out on were the two flippers. I went ahead and cleaned, just double checked on the sleeves to make sure that they were okay. Cleaned them up, and they were. However, this guy right here has an oddball plunger and stop on the back. So it was a little bit longer than the standard one that was in this guy. So I had to do a little bit of adjusting, but got them to stop at the same distance. So this distance right here is the same as this distance right here. And that's just adjusting these guys back here. What that does is that makes it so when the flippers go up, are held both in the up position, they both look even. They both give the same travel. So this guy might get a rebuild kit, the new plunger and new stop right here. I have to play it a little bit and see if that's worth going into. But that means that the underside of the Playfield is done. So all clean, all adjusted, all ready to go, all ready to test and see if I caught everything. After that, I went ahead and started on the back. I probably should have been filming this too, but there's really not a lot back here. There's only 4 wheel units, 1 replay unit, and yeah, so very simple. It didn't take too long to figure out that there was one switch that had broken right there, and man, look at how tiny that is. That is a tiny switch. So that is definitely one that I don't have. I'm gonna see if I can basically repurpose a larger one, cut it down. I've got these 2 little guys in there where I can pull this out and line it up with, you know, a spare leaf, and then cut it down to size. And if that works, great. I'll put it back together. If it doesn't, I'll have to see about finding that one switch for the last of the broken switches in the Domino. So yeah, everything in the back is cleaned as well, down to the last few adjustments, and then I'll be putting it all back together. So hopefully I can get this thing rebuilt, and if I can, I'll make sure to have the time lapse going so that you can see it going back together for final testing. And then from there, that's where I get to troubleshoot and find any of the small adjustments or misalignments that may still be an issue for playability. So, yep, time to make a custom leaf. Well, I called around to a few friends, and none of us had a leaf switch that was that small. This is a more common size. You can see it's a tiny little leaf switch. So what I ended up having to do is take one of these and basically miniaturize it. I took one of the leaves right there, you can see, and pulled this bad boy off and filed it down, created the end there so that we can solder on the wire to the tab, and you can see now looks very similar to the one right there. So I need to solder this back on and then get it put back together, and I think we're good to assemble the rest of the cabinet and put it through its paces, see what minor adjustments need to happen after that. course. played well. It's time to put it through its paces, play it for a while, figure out what still needs to be adjusted, and then we'll come back after a few weeks of letting it work through its initial bugs. We'll go over the final adjustments, and then yeah, we'll do a final gameplay video on it. Excellent.